to go on. I think we may be on already. Wow, I hit the button early.
Are we?
Sorry, guys. I thought there was
All
like a
That
thing where you had
salted
to set
apple was
up and
delicious.
delay, and you know.
No, yeah, no. When you click through, it just automatically goes through.
Whoops. So
That's
hi.
Da-da-da.
Hey, yeah. Good morning, everybody. We are live on #coffee. What is going on there? Okay. I'm Greg Smithwick. That's Corey Cottrell, and that's Ash Gallagher joining us from somewhere in South Asia. I always forget specifically where, and I'm not sure she always wants to say.
Malaysia.
In Malaysia. Okay. In Malaysia. Yes, you can
Yeah.
sail the seven seas in Malaysia. I don't know. Just cadence wise, that felt right.
Okay, I do not know this tune.
In the
Wow.
Navy by the Village People. In the Navy, yes, you can sail the seven seas.
Oh.
In the Navy, yeah. It was
Yeah,
there.
that's one I haven't heard in a while.
They want you. They
Yeah.
want you. They want you as a new recruit. It's
Wow.
yeah. I'm a child of the disco age. Sorry.
That checks out. That
I'm a
checks out.
borderline boomer. I'm 64, so I'm like the last boomer year. Yep. All right, let's see. I'm gonna share this back to Facebook. The Book of Face from the YouTube, as Corey caught. I don't know where that even came from.
I don't either.
Yeah. So if you would be so kind, folks, say hello in the comments so we know you're here, because we only know if you say hi, unlike what we do on Facebook. And we would love for you to like and share this video back to your social media so we can get more folks in here. We are trying to build subscribers, and that happens when you share and people get interested in, maybe 1 minute out of 30 that we do, and they subscribe too. That's what we're doing. We're building a thing.
We're building a thing.
Yes. I've been
Okay,
thinking a lot. I've been philosophical lately about when I started So Local Pasco, what my intent was and how that evolved. And there are lots of days when I don't know why I built this. And then something extraordinary happens and we're able to reach out to people in a meaningful way, or people tell me, oh, I only found out about this, charity that I give to because of you, or you and Corey were talking one time about this and now I participate all the time. And that's pretty special. I'm pretty excited that, I didn't know what this machine was for when I built it, but it turns out what it's for is public facing good and highlighting it and showcasing it and fixing things that are wrong. So yeah.
Good. That's good stuff.
doing some
So
sharing.
Greg, how you feeling? How you doing?
I'm
Boys,
okay.
How you guys are doing?
I'm okay. I'm tired, and like I thought, it's happened before when I've been hospitalized that I drag ass for a while. But I also read something this morning that may actually be a trauma response. We're all kind of having to go into shutdown mode, and that can affect your your tiredness level. I've been sleeping through the night mostly. The problem is now if I wake up in the night, I'm awake and I'm thinking about things. So sleeping a straight 6 has been difficult, but I achieved it last night. So, and I got a lot of work to do for this festival thing tomorrow that I haven't gotten done because I've been trying to rest, and I'm trying, I think maybe I should feel bad about not having more done, but I don't, because I know that I really needed to put my feet up for a bit and recover. So yeah, I'm okay. Thanks for asking. Where are you sharing to, Corey?
Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, okay. So I
haven't
do that.
Shared it to So Local yet, though.
Oh,
but I can.
Okay. No, I got it.
Boom. Yep. Yeah. I guess.
I see Corey's really ready to talk this morning.
Yeah. I talked
on I feel like I mean, it's evening for me, and I still feel like it's morning on some level. I'm just like, I feel like I haven't quite woken up all day. It's been a very slow moving Friday.
Yeah.
I was definitely me yesterday. I ended up having a meeting with a software developer guy in LA. But those always end up going late. So, I was up till like 11 and I didn't sleep the night before at all because it was the first day getting here and stuff. So I was kind of a zombie all day.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bubble Viz, I'm Greg with 2 G's, not 3. Just so you know. Just saying. Not all Gregs are Gregigs.
Greggigs.
Well, on YouTube, you both are Corey. You both are Corey today.
Yeah, I'm using the company account here because I'm hosting this week. So that's what that's all about. Yep. I have to be
That's
careful because
good.
now
We
our
should just
counseling
change
office
this
is
thing.
using Zoom, and I had to check twice this morning to make sure I wasn't logged onto the office account because we don't want to be broadcasting this on our counseling office. We don't want that on our permanent record.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, if you guys don't mind.
Jen- Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I figure I would just jump in and just start to just open it up by just keeping to encourage people because I see definitely posts every day. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of heaviness around everything that's going on, and to just constantly call people back to just taking even just one deep breath can be really useful. I know, Corey, you said you started your morning out with some gratitude stuff, and I know that's probably really helpful for a lot of folks as well. But just taking time, whether it's in the morning or in the middle of the day or 3 or 4 times a day, to just take short breaths. I was watching Red Table Talk the other night, and Jay Shetty, who is sort of being called sort of the modern monk a little bit, but he had everybody do an exercise where it was right hand on your heart, left hand on your stomach. You take a deep breath for 4, and you exhale for longer than 4. And you do that a few times until you just kind of come back to your center. And I want to encourage everyone to do that. Amid the stress, I feel like I had to do that a lot for myself today because I was telling the boys before we started that I am definitely a little bit stir crazy at the moment. I've been hermiting for a while. And so I know how exhausting it can be to actually stay in, because it's our souls and our beings, our bodies need more expansion than we're being allowed right now.
I was also thinking maybe like I know at the end of any creative process where I've been cooped up in a workspace for a while, like when I get it done, I want to be expansive and celebratory and large, I want to go wave my arms around and talk loudly to people that I love. And I'm imagining that you're feeling some of that right now,
Definitely. I'm a person that when I get done with big creative projects too, I like to be able to go for a hike or even just go get in touch with nature. I'm a nature person and I'm in a city right now, and there is very little I can do as far as nature is concerned. There's not really even a park for me to run in. So that's been very difficult. My trips to the grocery store and the coffee shop every couple of days have been my little ways of getting out of the house. But yeah, no, obviously I'm getting ready to do other creative things, but it's like, oh my gosh, I need this little bit of this breaking point. And so that's been difficult for me to find some of that avenue, but trying to stay steady with it. And I'm also just allowing myself to feel. Like if I just need to take a nap, I will. Or if I need to be emotional, I'll be emotional, giving myself a little bit of mercy, giving myself a little bit of grace. We tend to be very judgmental of ourselves and even sometimes of others, but we tend to allow our irritation to get to us, and then we get more irritated because then we're mad at ourselves for being irritated. And so I think that, right now I'm trying to just consciously learn and teach myself to just be merciful to myself, to feel whatever I need to feel, whether it's grief, whether it's being a little bit bitter and bitchy, whether it's emotional, whether it's sad, whether it's tired, just whatever it is, just allow myself to feel through it. And that can be hard, but it definitely ends up being far better for me than just trying to hold it in and getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I have an awesome roommate and we're checking in on each other every day, a few times a day. How you doing over there? I'm good. Corey, she's been killing it at Minecraft, man. She's been she's making an empire in our server at this point.
I like it. Is it your danger server?
No. She's on the gratitude server. Yeah, on the server.
Yep. I need to freaking raise money for people that need it. Otherwise, I think I would be lobbying for a small laptop.
For a laptop.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that would be an awesome way to spend this time.
Yeah. So what are you up to, Corey? We both talked a bit. Your turn.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Time to talk. Yeah, man. Day 2 of 45. I don't know. Right? Like that. We have no idea how long this is going to take. It seemed like yesterday there was some decent news, right? Like got the Kinsa Health stuff in Houston and San Francisco, where the numbers were actually coming down because of the stay-at-home orders. Again, those are limited data points, so we have to take it with a grain of salt. But it's fucking good news that is real and not made up. So that's fun. But the rest of the news is just really bad and comports with all of my worst case scenario numbers. So here we are, right? Like, so what do you do? So I got books to read. I've been watching like Merlin on Netflix, which, just for the record, is not good.
No, not
but-
good at
How
all.
is that? It's not that
It's-
good. Huh.
It's terrible, but it's it's noise, right? Like, I'm usually doing other stuff.
See, I can't do that. I'll get an episode into something and realize it's bad, and like, no, there are always good things to watch. Like, I can always find something quality. So I try not to, like, I won't throw good money after bad when it comes to a series like that. I watched 2 episodes of something and I was like, no, actually, you're gonna hate me for this, but it was Hunters.
Yeah, no,
On Prime.
you just hate Jewish people. I get it.
Oh my god. Yes, my secret is out.
Yeah.
My
Greg
long-held
is a secret
anti-Semitic
Nazi.
beliefs are
Now
coming
we
to the
know.
surface now. No, I just like I get that it's brassy and it's loud and it's color saturated and it moves fast, but there's a lot of technical bullshit and accuracies in it. It just seems like they kind of phoned it in. I don't know. And I
just started seeing 3 of Ozarks. Laura Linney makes that show.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
Ozarks
show
is
is
really
so good. That show is
And to be honest
so
with you,
dark.
I'm not a big fan of Jason Bateman, to be honest with you, but I love Laura Linney. I mean, anything she plays, I think she's brilliant. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
she's
see
really
her
good.
in the
Yeah.
HBO John Adams miniseries? She played Abigail Adams, and like so much of that story, that's the
Cool.
book that's based on is about their letters to each other and their lifetime of love for each other. So she's central to John Adams' story, and they played that in the HBO series. It's like, I don't know, 4 episodes. It's like a 6-hour
speaking of
slog.
HBO, are you guys on Westworld?
Yeah, I haven't started season 3 yet though.
Yeah, I downloaded the second episode, but I haven't watched it. Jen said, Corey, can you say again what you were saying in coffee number 1? By the way, I titled my first, like, just because it's my first copy, with the gratitude and stuff. Anyway, reframing your thoughts about people who do wrong and how maybe these people actually think it's what's right. That really changed my day. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just read through that whole Daily Stoic thing,
Yeah.
and we can hit it on the
Please.
other side. If I can find it. So yeah, this was from March 12th. Whenever someone has done wrong by you, immediately consider what notion of good or evil they had in doing it. For when you see that, you'll feel compassion instead of astonishment or rage. For you may yourself have the same notions of good and evil, or similar ones, in which case you'll make an allowance for what they've done. But if you no longer hold the same notions, you'll be more readily gracious for their error. It's Marcus Aurelius. Socrates, probably the wisest person to ever live, used to say that nobody does wrong willingly, meaning that no one is wrong on purpose either. Nobody thinks they're wrong, even when they are. They think they're right. They're just mistaken. Otherwise, they wouldn't think it anymore. Could it be that the slights you've experienced or the harm that others have done to you was not inflicted intentionally? What if they simply thought they were doing the right thing for them, even for you? It's like the memorial for Confederate soldiers at Arlington, obviously a cause that was wrongly fought for by people doing wrong, which states, in part, that the Confederate soldiers served in simple obedience to duty as they understood it. Again, they understood wrongly, but it was their genuine understanding, just as Lincoln was genuine when he ended his famous Cooper Union speech by saying, "Let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it." How much more tolerant and understanding would you be today if you could see the actions of other people as attempts to do the right thing? Whether you agree or not, how radically would this lens change your perspective on otherwise offensive or belligerent actions? Except Trump.
Definitely
That
worthy
guy's
of
a
note.
fucking clown.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
Well,
but
I think here's the thing though. It's a warped, like, it as a collective society, we come together and we basically decide, okay, here's the moral compass that we want to live by. As a society, we say, okay, like, murder is bad, cheating is bad. Like, we list our rules out that we feel law and justice need to abide in, right? So that's what we create as a political society. But when you look at it from sort of just the characteristic of what's actually going on in somebody like Trump, I do believe that people choose sometimes to do wrong, but they may choose to do wrong even knowing they're doing wrong, but still thinking they're going to be right because for them, the end justifies the means. So at the end of the day, it is about their self-protectiveness rather than their or their self-preservation rather than the collective or the whole, or the good of the collective or the whole, which really the good of the collective or the whole ultimately is the good of the self. But most people don't see it that way. They see self-preservation as something that is only about the self. And so then they enact whatever behaviors for good or for ill. And I am definitely of the belief, absolutely, that for good or for ill, we're all trying to control our narrative. We're all trying to like feel like we're in control of our world because we don't feel in control of the world. And it's when we sort of embrace a sense of like powerlessness, embrace a sense of mystery a little bit, that we begin to sort of relinquish not only the harm we end up doing to ourselves, but it helps us then sort of be a little bit kinder, be a little bit more gracious in a situation. That doesn't mean that those who perpetrate shouldn't be called to justice, but it does mean that we can enact that justice far more effectively to restore the society, to restore the situation, rather than create a manipulative, sort of transactional system.
I feel
if
like
any of that makes any sense to anybody.
It does. It does. I feel like I should have put like a gram of mushrooms in my coffee before having this conversation.
I mean, I wish we could do that every goddamn morning right now. Are you kidding me right now?
I mean,
even like a tenth of a gram, like legitimately microdosing in coffee every morning.
We all want to take a trip. Let's admit it to ourselves.
It would be a better way to live. Yeah, I was thinking too. Like I do often think about translating that, for Trump. Like obviously, I make a joke about it or whatever. I don't think he thinks what he's doing is wrong. He just is mentally ill, right? Like it to me looks as if he's the distillation of that id that is all of the worst things in America, the absolute greed and looking for acceptance and validation from your sort of elitist peers because your mom didn't hug you enough, whatever the fuck that is, right? Like it has created this thing, monster, frankly, that is just watching TV and try to make the TV say nice things about him. That's it. And that ultimately can make you president because our society
but it's also narcissism.
Ridiculous.
Our society rewards
100%.
narcissism.
Yeah, 100%.
Hands down.
Yep.
Okay, so I have something on this.
Go ahead. Yeah, please jump in.
Like, yes, I'm fully on board with the idea that we can see people's actions as differently and self-preservative. Good. Yeah, and that's cool. However, there's a responsibility that I hold, which is to accurately understand myself. And so sometimes I find out that the things that I thought were good for everybody were not. And I find out after I've done them, right? So my duty then as an improving human being, and I hope I'm improving, I am improving, that I address those things and change my beliefs to suit the reality of the world around me and what's actually good for people around me, right? Like many of us were taught things that were going to be our responsibility when we grew up. Some of those are motherly things, some of those are fatherly things, some of those are partnership things. But some of those things we were taught are not good for us, not good for our partners, not good for our kids. So we can unlearn those things. And this is where I have a problem applying this idea of seeing people's motivations more clearly and maybe not forgiving, but at least understanding. This is where I have trouble applying that to people like Donald Trump. This is a person who has never, ever, ever been forced into some mode of self-examination because things went badly for him or he couldn't blame it on somebody easily, right? Finding yourself responsible for fixing the things that make you an awful person.
Self-examining.
Well,
that his meat robot was created into that by external stimuli, right?
Right.
And I'm not forgiving it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be punished. I'm not saying it shouldn't be removed like a cancer. But that I think just for me allows me to kind of step out of the situation just a little bit so
Right.
that I can spend 5 minutes not being enraged.
I worry
Right?
sometimes
It's
that,
like a
yeah,
tool.
yeah. I want to go back to what Ash said, like the whole thing about, narcissists. I have, and this may be me. This may be a thing that I'm struggling with. I have the same problem with people terming themselves or a whole group of people as empaths. Empathy is a state that we should all be working
Okay.
toward,
So
right?
yeah, let's talk about that.
But wait, but the
Okay. So
narcissist label,
I'll
I think
define
gets
that because
overused
I'm
too.
with you.
Right. I think the
I
narcissist
agree.
label
So
gets
I'll
overused too.
I'll touch on that.
Just people kind of tend to say, well, this person did an ugly thing, they're a narcissist. That's not necessarily, clinically, it's certainly not true, right? Clinical narcissism has a
Well,
specific.
narcissism, according to Dr. Ramani Durvasula, is not a clinical term, not at all. In fact, I'll find her and link her here momentarily. But
Okay.
Dr. Ramani, she has an entire YouTube channel. She's done a TED Talk. She was actually talking about narcissism long before it became like a thing. And she's been doing this for decades. She's an American Indian woman who's now kind of the LA clinical psychologist, and this is her expertise. And she says, look, narcissism is something that our society enables. It rewards behavior that is not self-examining. So I'm with Corey on this. Like, I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that it's okay that he shouldn't be subjected to the consequences of his actions. But Trump's narcissism would have begun with some sort of, I don't know, wounding and grooming when he was younger. And ultimately, he then develops a way of thinking that is 100% self-preservation, right? And that's in the psyche. And narcissism isn't rich or poor. It's about a characteristic. Now, I understand where you're coming from, saying, look, I don't like this whole thing about the empath and narcissism. Yes, in the light worker community, I hear it all the time. And
Right.
it's maddening to me, because what it has done is it's created further tribalism, where it's decided, well, the empaths are the good and the narcissism is bad, when actually the empaths are just the other side of the coin of narcissism, in my opinion. And I think we're all on a spectrum. I think, in fact, we're all on a little bit of a spectrum. We all have a few narcissistic traits because we all have a little bit of an ego. So what I'm talking about is the elements of narcissistic society are the people who take it to the extreme, and we look at abusiveness and gaslighting. I mean, the fact that the Dixie Chicks came out with a song called Gaslight is worthy of mention, because, as Dr. Ramani says, she believes it's a cultural epidemic that needs to be addressed as a human rights issue. Because what happens is when we reward systems like Trump is the result of a system that's been created under our superiority colonial complex of capitalism, that has created someone that tells people they have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, that doesn't believe that people need help once in a while, that continues to create the divide between upper class and lower class. And so this is the result of individuals who have continued to do this, who have had power, namely, obviously, the sort of wealthy white male, which ends up being the majority there. But I think that on the whole, when I talk about narcissism, I'm looking at it from deeply the point of view that we are coming into an age where we have to start having conversations about what this is, and how we rectify it through not only our personal lives, especially when it concerns things like domestic violence and so forth, but also within our justice system. Now, I'm going to go a step further and say that the first step in sort of correcting narcissistic culture, I think, ultimately is calling it out. The narcissistic people are rarely going to choose healing, but ultimately, the perspective is they do need healed too. So like Corey says, the idea of being able to understand the behavior is more about being able to say it's a release for me, so that I don't have to be so angry over it all the time. I understand that this is the case, and I move forward so that I can conduct my life and my community, and try and build and heal that way. But I think what happens is you are right in saying that there is a lot of people who throw the words around. I think we need to kind of just narrow it down a little bit to understand what we're actually looking at, rather than set up the comparison of like, oh, well, this person's an empath and this person's a narcissist because we don't like them, or because we don't want something, or because we don't want them to react that way. And sometimes we just need to come back to ourselves and get over ourselves a little bit.
Right. Yeah. That's and
so yeah,
you can a person that doesn't have, and by the way, There is a clinical definition for narcissistic personality disorder. It's in the DSM. It's one of the things I had to learn to do my job.
It's in the cluster B. But the
Right.
narcissism, the word, is not
Okay.
necessarily
Right.
considered quote unquote clinically.
Yeah. But I think people are trying to like, I get a lot of mental health excuses from clients who think they know a little, like, oh, you know, my girlfriend, she's bipolar. This is why I hit her. Right. My girlfriend's bipolar. Is that an official diagnosis? Or does she just get mad sometimes and she's happy sometimes? Like, you know, like diva. I hate the overuse of the word diva. There are some words I think we fall into using them to describe something they really aren't meant to describe. So that was my only, maybe that's a semantic dickhead kind of point, but you know, like I know that people are possible of changing narcissistic behavior. And I know people have the potential to lose their empathy as well. Right. Like we can modify out of those kind of absolute states, but that only happens with self-reflection or shutting off from self-reflection. So yeah, I don't know. Man, I didn't expect to have a deeply philosophical show this morning, but here we are.
It's
well, I'm sending you guys the links for Dr. Romani in case you just
Good.
want to educate yourselves more
Excellent.
on her work and how she presents this.
There you go.
So yeah, Donna, just to get to some comments here, and thank you guys for commenting a bunch. I haven't microdosed, but I'm intrigued. Microdosing. Oh, thanks for the link over there. Microdosing is actually how I stopped drinking for a year. Not how, I was going to do it anyway, but it was sort of the treat that I gave myself, allegedly. And where like a normal sort of mushroom dose is between 1 and 3 grams, unless you're going
Greg.
for
Unless you're Greg.
unless you're Greg. There's something called a heroic dose that is sort of 5+. And again, you should never even consider doing that unless you're with people, like the whole set and setting. There's a whole thing that you want to consider before that. But I was doing like 0.1 grams, sometimes 0.2. And it would be, before doing a show or whatever. So it's the kind of thing that you might not even notice,
Right.
but you kind of end up noticing after a while. Like it really is, that tiny little bit is better than drinking. Like if I could never ever drink again and have a ready supply of that, I would do it instantaneously. I would make that choice right now and every day.
It reminded me of and I used to run. I know people wouldn't look at me now and think that that's a thing, but I remember like running a mile distance, like in the third 400 meters of a mile. I would get like a kick, a little bit of a kick, and feel like I was comfortable and I was moving right. My body was feeling good. It was before the sprint and after the initial pain of running a half mile, but that's how microdosing feels to me. It's like a physical and mental uplift, not much more than that. Just a little bit of a, I don't know, like a dilation of all my brain vessels. That's how it feels in my head, allegedly, if I were to ever do such a thing, which I would never.
Right. Yeah. Which of course is nowhere near true, except
because Nancy Reagan.
because Nancy Reagan. Yeah, no, but I think like that whole
How about
runner's
just say
high,
no,
like,
thank you, Nancy? Can we at least be polite about it? Just say no.
Yeah,
just say
right.
no, thank you.
Exactly. I'm good. Just say I'm good. That's all you had to do.
I used to have a T-shirt. I can't lie. Like, second grade or whatever, the cop comes into the class and gives you all the Nancy Reagan story. Yeah, Dare. We all had T-shirts and everything.
Yeah, I made a custom shirt, and I used to have a screen print, shop in my garage in Canada, and I made a shirt that said "Dare to think for yourself" in tiny letters under it. That was my kind of stab at that. My daughter actually corrected the DARE officer that came to her school on a couple of things. So yeah, I got an interesting phone call from her teacher over that. Why does your daughter know so much about drugs? Because we've been in the sobriety community for her whole life, so she's been going to AA meetings and NA meetings.
She knows what's up.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, Jen said y'all are 300 times better than any therapy session I've ever attended. Should have been paying y'all this whole time instead. I'm pretty sure we don't deserve that, but
I'm pretty sure Jen has supported our show financially. So let's
that's
Jen,
probably true too. There you go.
Yeah. I was in a women's group when I worked at Best Buy, and the ladies in our group named us the Delta Divas. I couldn't stand it. Yep.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to read Boxer's latest comment?
Oh, Greg, I spent an hour in a tree because mushrooms. It was perfect. Why leave?
I meant the one following that one.
Oh, is there one following that? I don't have one after
Yep,
that.
Nancy Reagan, best blowjob in Hollywood.
Oh my god.
All right. Well,
Hey man,
Excuse me.
we all gotta be famous for something, I guess.
I mean, it's all fun and games till you do all the drugs and then tell everyone else to stop.
I mean, I'd like a citation link for that. Is that just something we randomly threw out there? Or
Are
is
we
that
just
is
expected
that
to believe
a
that?
thing
Like
that other
How do we
people know that I didn't know about Nancy Reagan? I never heard that before.
Oh, no.
Just saying.
let's be a
Let's
little
see.
more kinder in that way.
Whew.
Life's better when you're in a tree. I agree.
I think that's
Well, that's
hundreds
true.
of other
scientifically
mushroom
provable.
users agree.
I miss climbing trees.
Yeah. Yeah, it was widely known, y'all, says Boxer Cat. Okay, I didn't know
All right.
that. We used to do a thing where I lived, Ash, and Corey's familiar with the neighborhood where I grew up out by Starkey Park. It's all swampland. We would climb one tree, and we would go from treetop to treetop for like a half mile. That was the goal, was always to get to the end of my
Nice.
street, which is about a half mile through treetops. A bunch of
That's
little
amazing.
idiots. Yeah, we used to, like, some of them you can
We used to
swing.
have this huge tree in the front yard, and I wasn't supposed to be in it because we were like in a rental, but I would go up there anyway because it had the perfect, and I was like, this big anyway.
Yeah.
And so, and I would climb up and I would take my book up there and I would go up and read, but then I could see the landlord. He'd come down the street in his, like, I don't know, hunky, stupid car. And so I would jump down from the tree and I would race to the backyard or whatever to try and hide and wait until he left so I could go climb the tree again because he didn't want anybody up in the tree. But that tree was so big and beautiful, and it had just like the perfect branches that extend way out. I could go almost all the way to the top. I remember even actually trying to like make it to the top a couple of times. It was like my favorite thing as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. We should all just be in trees.
Yeah. I just had another great tree memory. What a funny thing for this to bring up. But where we lived in Africa, we were at a little rail siding village of about 300 people. It was our 17 American families and then all the laborers that lived separately. But the train came from Francistown, Botswana, once a week, about 35 miles away, with milk. And it was the only fresh milk you could get was in plastic bags, and it was frozen. They would have big barrels of these frozen little pints of milk. So the goal was to get to the rail siding fast enough to get milk because it was so rare. So my friend and I would sit in a marula tree at the end of our little neighborhood, and we could see the coal smoke from the train because it still ran on coal burning steam engines in the 70s when I was there. And you could see the train coming from about 12 miles away. Like, you could begin to see the smoke on the horizon. So that was our job, was we were the milk scouts. We would jump down from the tree and, yeah, the milk train is coming. The milk train is coming. I'm not even making that up. That's a real thing. So that's a great tree memory, sitting up in that marula tree for like,
I believe you.
yeah. Cause like, in the African way of timekeeping, there's some uncertainty. And like the train's supposed to be a 12:50 train. It's supposed to arrive at Shashi at 12:50. It never arrived at 12:50. One time it arrived at 12:50 on the wrong day, right? So like it was never a serious time schedule. Like, and it's weird because you'd think because the British built the rail system in Africa that they would be ingrained with the cultural timeliness of trains, but it was just never a thing where I lived. Sometimes it was 11 in the morning, sometimes it was not at all till the next day. So yeah.
Apparently AOC is speaking on the floor of the House right now.
Yes.
So
Yeah?
I just
What's she got
messaged you.
going?
I don't know if we can if she's done or if we can catch some video. She's actually retweeted some stuff. I don't know if she's doing that, but I would do it, but I can't because I'm just on my phone. And
Oh yeah, and I'm still wary about sharing live clips on YouTube because I don't want us to get.
I think
bounced
live
out
clips are always going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Facebook Live. Let me see if I can find it.
Or even
You
on
might
YouTube.
be able to find it on NewsHour.
Or even C-SPAN.
Checking.
Because C-SPAN, they're definitely not going to say anything because it's C-SPAN.
Okay, I'm checking. Yeah,
The
you should
House
talk
is
while I do
voting on the
this.
coronavirus stimulus package. It's in the House right now,
Yep.
Yeah, she was on
which is
Twitter this
where we
morning
are.
giving a lot of shit to the cruise companies, which was well deserved.
Perfectly accurate. Yeah.
Yep.
They don't want to pay any taxes. They don't want to list their boats here. They want to list them in Belize. Yeah. Just ripping up the Republicans too. Again,
I'm not having much
perfectly
sympathy for the
accurate.
airlines either, although we have
No.
to have public air
Oh,
travel.
God,
I
no.
get that.
Nationalize
No, I agree,
them.
Yeah.
They should be afraid.
Are
Right
you
now,
worried
it's-
that nationalization is kind of a step on the road towards totalitarianism? Because think about it now, economic
thing.
nationalization is a characteristic of Nazi Germany and Italy.
okay, slow down, because all I'm saying is if there's an airline that fails, you buy it, right? Which is
Right.
like very, very close to if your healthcare system is failing, nationalize it. What do you
Right.
think like a national healthcare, a universal healthcare is? It's not Nazi Germany, it's Canada, right? And like Canada that has Air Canada, not Nazi Germany, right? Like
Qatar, Turkish Airlines. Yep.
right, like if
I mean,
you
I
if you
take
have an
those all the time
airline-
globally. Mhm.
Right. If you have an airline that fails, you nationalize it because they should be terrified of that. And they could absolutely be running their businesses in a way that protects them from downturns like this, but they don't. Right? Because they know that their services are too big to fail, and that they're not afraid of being nationalized or being sold off to the lowest bidder.
Right.
So they can hold their hands out and get taxpayer or invented money anytime that there's a downturn. That to me is they're not being incentivized properly. They should be terrified all the time of losing their business, and they're not, because we'll just bail them out at any time there's any trouble.
Right.
It's like, again, it's like private
But
gain,
there's
socialized losses.
there's such misunderstanding of that. I know. No, I agree. Look, I mean, Turkish Airlines. There's plenty of there's several Turkish private airlines, but Turkish Airlines is sort of the government-owned one. Qatar Airlines is owned by like the Qatari government, even though
Right.
there's a couple other smaller ones and so forth. Malaysia has the same thing. There's like Malaysia Airlines, but then there's like a bunch of other ones that are smaller. So it does end up actually helping versus hurting the system, in my opinion. And they end up being really great airlines for the most part because their standards are actually a little bit higher. I wouldn't object. I mean, look, think about it this way too. NPR theoretically gets most of its money from the government. So you could
Right.
set it up like that. You could set it up where it's not maybe fully owned, but it like gets most of its income or something, set up, or revenue through that in some way. I don't know exactly what that looked like. I'm not an economist, but yeah, I wouldn't have necessarily a problem with that. But I do think that a flat out bailout, the way we saw with the auto industry, would be a terrible idea.
Although, okay, but here's the thing: we made money on that. You and I, the American taxpayer, made money on that because it was strictly controlled and regulated. Because there were strict rules that if they broke them, they were gone. Right. So the whole idea of giving $500 billion to Steve Mnuchin to throw around at the poker game on Thursday night is fucking ridiculous, because it contains no oversight, no ability for you and I to look under the hood and say, hey, that's a good investment and the American people will benefit from it. So that was my problem with that. I'd be okay with an auto industry style bailout, because guess what? It worked and we made money. We made tax revenue from it. Corey, am I wrong?
No, that's right. It doesn't mean that's the only tool in the tool shed.
No, but at
Right?
least it's a tool that worked.
But here's the thing. What I'm suggesting is make it so that people will actually build hurricane tie downs into their roof struts.
Right.
Like if we show them, hey, we'll automatically bail you out, and yes, there's going to be some rules around it, but you don't have to worry about it. That's a thing that we can do, right? But that incentivizes shitty behavior and buybacks and whatever the next version of buybacks is going forward, right? It doesn't actually change the system. It just means that we don't die that day, which is great, right?
Right.
Not and just for context, we lost more jobs almost every day of last week than they lost during their worst week in 2008, right? Like it's a totally phase change. You're like, this is, if there was ever a time for emergency measures like a bailout that has oversight, that's fantastic. I've heard most of the oversight provisions were actually put in by Elizabeth Warren. Long may she reign. So thank you for that. And that kind of thing is going to be absolutely essential. But yeah, I mean, this was a moment where we could have baked some new ideas into the system, and it's just not going to happen, right? And so whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, we're going to be right back here. Like, I guarantee it. With maximum 15 years from now, we will have all the same people telling you the stock market's going to go up forever, every single time, and all of this is completely and totally fine. And there's going to have to be another bailout. And even, you know, with the way that it's structured now, and some people are getting some money, and you know, large corporations are getting huge chunks, small businesses are getting a little bit. The amount of people in the 0.01% that are going to quadruple their wealth is fucking insane.
Right.
And that happens every time. While there's poor people that are like dying in hospital waiting rooms right now. So, yay!
I know.
Well, also, I may be slightly more optimistic than you about this. This is the first stimulus package. This is the first, you know, big action. I don't think it's going to be the only one. Like, I think the business of the House and the Senate now is to make the case for reinstating regulations that we've walked away from. Like the Trump administration this morning is talking about reinstituting some of the parts of the Dodd-Frank bill that they hated so much when they ran. You know, the Trump administration is talking about Dodd-Frank this morning. So maybe this is a moment where, you know, where there's some momentum to move back to a stronger regulatory framework. Meanwhile, the EPA is suspending all environmental regulation enforcement. Okay.
Yeah, that's fun.
ICE can still go arrest people at the fucking hospital, but the EPA can't possibly get out.
Can we just give a shout out?
Which is maddening.
It is. Can we give a shout out to Trudeau, who Trump decided to leave out of the G20? Trump is talking about putting military assets on the Canadian border. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Although hopefully that will stop Americans from going to Canada to infect people, because Canada is doing much better up there than we are down here. And they basically went with Bernie's plan, $2,000 a month to everybody.
Right.
No means testing.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah.
About getting that bus.
I certainly hope that something with the stimulus comes up soon. So keeping my eye on it, even from over here.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do something. Somebody's just tweeting out, and I thought this was the case before that, but I actually got some real data on it now, so I wanted to bring this up. In China, no province outside Hubei ever had more than 1,500 cases. In the U.S., 11 states already hit that total. Wow. And my contention is that in all likelihood, there is no state that will actually lock this down.
Right.
So we're definitely on our road to having, 50 million people get sick with this disease.
Louisiana is terrifying. The speed in Louisiana is just.
Yep.
The biggest thing to me is that, lockdown is one of those interesting things because it has positives and negatives to it. And the biggest thing for me is that what needs to be basically flushed into the system now is testing and soliciting help from not just the CDC, but the World Health Organization, who offered it in the first place, and anyone else. I mean, look, Italy has reached out to China, and Malaysia has reached out to Singapore and China, and you know what I'm saying. And so there's global efforts in some of these countries that so that people can get what they need, so that the testing can increase, because isolation and lockdown can work to an extent. And it's got its positive effects, but what ends up happening though is you also have to be very, very careful about like human rights issues, which is actually one of the problems for China. And so, and there were some human rights issues that sort of came out of some of their lockdown. And so I just think that it's one of those things that has to be very tenderly addressed. I got pissed this week when I saw de Blasio calling for, quote, military action, and I'll explain why.
Yeah. Yep.
I could understand that the military may have resources, assets, and the ability to help with hospitals, maybe to help with extra doctors, maybe bringing some people home in order to kind of put doctors and medical and supply all through the communities. I totally think that that's positive. I know that the German military actually does that. They actually do like humanitarian work, amazing amounts of humanitarian work. my issue with that is if Trump, the commander-in-chief, decides he wants to use the military, we must be prepared, because what we know for sure is that he will not just use it for medical supply, building, and humanitarian aid. It will be used as martial law, and human rights abuses will happen. Human violations will happen. There will be more lawless issues. He may try and delay the election. He will use the military as his self-preservation. That much we know, because he has like military glory envisioned in his brain.
Yep.
And so I am not okay with the president calling for military action, because I know what he will do. However, what I am okay with is if the governors want to reach out to their bases and to the military within their states and say, hey, we need medical help, and they create a plan that way. Maybe
That would be
building
the
a
National
makeshift
Guard.
hospital,
Yeah.
the National Guard.
Well,
which,
Army's already doing that with the Corps of Engineers. They actually yesterday did a
That's
recall
fine.
for, a voluntary recall for all basically health related, like specifically, which I mean, I'm a huge fan of. Yeah, this is not calling up, divisions or anything like that.
The
It's
82nd
literally-
Airborne, right? Yeah.
It's calling up people that will be helping. My wife's brother Pat, who's in the Air Force and is now working like 18 hours a day, right? Like it's the specific people
Yes.
that can run the ventilators, can build the hospitals, can do the things that are absolutely going to be done, and that are right now not being done at the scale that's going to be required. Basically anywhere in the country, even where there's some
Correct.
good news starting out, it's nowhere near close. It's going to have to be a lot more. Greg, I just sent you a clip of Miss AOC from.
Oh, you found one
in
okay,
Facebook
good.
Messenger. Yeah.
Yep. Let me grab that and pull it up here.
And I'm glad that that's happening, and I would like to see more of that. I just have a lot of I felt like de Blasio was way too reactionary, and I feel like my contention is when you call on the president to do that, you need to know who you're asking to do that.
I 100% agreed.
I just don't. I just would not trust the president of the United States to use it in a way that was actually going to be helpful, but rather more hurtful.
Or
And
to
that's
give
what
it
we have
back.
to look out for. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or to give it
completely
back.
agree.
Correct.
All right,
Correct.
let's see if I can get this working here. Hang on. You guys can see dude. Is that right?
Yep. We could see dude.
Here we go.
I now have the privilege of yielding to the
Can you hear
gentlelady from Queens, one of the epicenters of this challenge to our country, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Gentleman from New York is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to our Majority Leader. I represent one of the hardest hit communities in the hardest hit city in this country, Queens, New York. 13 dead in a night in Elmhurst Hospital alone. Our community's reality is this country's future if we don't do anything. Hospital workers do not have protective equipment. We don't have the necessary ventilators, but we have to go into this vote eyes wide open. What did the Senate majority fight for? One of the largest corporate bailouts with as few strings as possible in American history. Shameful. The greed of that fight is wrong for crumbs, for our families. And the option that we have is to either let them suffer with nothing or to allow this greed and billions of dollars, which will be leveraged into trillions of dollars, to contribute to the largest income inequality gap in our future. There should be shame about what was fought for in this bill and the choices that we have to make.
Gentlelady's time's expired.
And I yield.
Gentleman from Maryland Reserve.
Wow.
Yeah, she needs about another hour, I think.
He's on
She's
fire.
taking him to church.
Yep.
That's the
What she's
one
doing.
thing I want everyone to remember. She had to drop it in there relatively quickly. Especially for the larger corporations, when she talks about leveraging, they're going to, because of the cash infusion into the debt markets from the Federal Reserve, they're going to be able to take, let's say an airline gets 100 million, they're going to be able to turn that into 600 or 700 million, and they're going to be able to do with that whatever the fuck they want.
That's
Right,
wait. I thought they put restrictions on what it can be used for.
Yeah, as long as if you can, that money, right? But you can use that money to leverage it, and suddenly you have all new made up fucking money, and they're not going to track that. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Jen Rakita, she's throwing hands. Watch out.
Yeah, it's legit.
You're preaching, man.
She's about to take off her rings and go to town on somebody.
Go read up about the night they had in the hospital she's talking about.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
fucking terrifying.
I
They
know.
had 2 people die in the fucking lobby,
Yeah.
right? Like This is
Yeah.
and that's everywhere. Like this is I still, again, sorry, Dave Myers, I might fucking sound panicked and manicky, but this is why I keep screaming to people that nobody's worried enough, because nobody's worried enough, right? Like the math on this is unforgiving, and no one's doing what it takes to stop it. Barely bending it, but
So
you know,
I want to
whatever.
show something that changed this morning. Actually, this has changed twice now. I'm going to check it again. I'm on the Florida COVID map that's run by the state health department. And a weird thing happened yesterday. They've been updating at 11 and 6, or around 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. And the number yesterday was 2359. Then it jumped to 24 and changed. Now it's back down to 2359 today. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but what I want to show is they added a new graph down on the bottom left corner. And like, you know, I'm not optimistic about where we are with this. Okay. But look at the bottom left. I think that might be a reflection. Can you guys see that? Okay. That bottom left graph.
Yeah.
Yes. No, go to hell. Okay. But look at the new cases by day, right? We had a pretty steady climb there, and then it kind of dropped off yesterday. Now I'm beginning to wonder if maybe that's because of lack of testing kits, because I know Tampa shut off even making reservations to get tested because they reached their limit of 900. They only had 900 tests, and
yeah,
so they, so I'm wondering if maybe it represents that.
They haven't scaled testing at all. That's exactly what it is. Definitely don't get excited about Florida peaking right now, because we haven't.
Right.
Like
Okay.
it's probably not even within like 2 orders of magnitude of peaking yet.
All right. Well, I want to share the link that map is on, because I've been checking in a couple times a day, and it's, I mean, here's the thing. I know it's easy to get, like, I could get sucked into being really obsessively depressed about the numbers, but if you need to see evidence that you're not wrong about where we are with this is what you need to do. You need to check in on what, see that count climb every day. And yesterday by 200 in Florida. It was days ago, it was jumping by 10 or 20 a day. Now we're up to jumping by 150, 200 cases a day. It's a serious thing. And I hope that brings it home to some people, that the numbers are unforgiving. But there's stuff we can do, right? Just the limiting we're doing is not going to keep everybody from getting sick. It's going to keep enough people from getting sick for long enough that we don't overwhelm our hospital system. But Greg, I think we're kind of there in a lot of communities.
Here's the bad news.
That's what we need.
I have to be honest about this, right? Like the idea that like everything we're doing right now is going to be enough. It's not.
Oh no, of course not. I'm not.
Right, like that.
Like,
all
what I'm saying.
And it's definitely going to bend it a little bit, but it's going to make a perfectly insane nightmare just a longer, slightly less perfectly insane nightmare.
Yeah.
Because they're not even doing what Italy did. Right?
Yeah.
And in Italy, they have to fucking, take train cars full of dead bodies away from the hospitals. That's like a thing that's going on.
Yes, it absolutely is.
Well, and actually, I just saw a tweet where Russia has just sent in some trucks of their own sort of military and medical supplies to help Italy. So Italy is receiving help from the rest of the world and saying, we've got a crisis on our hands. Let's move, and let's move now. And the U.S. is still lagging behind with climbing numbers and can't get it together because there's an argument about whether or not the millionaires can do what they want with their fucking millions of dollars. Jesus. This is like, one of the biggest reasons we're falling behind. So people are dying as a result of it, because that's the debate, rather than why don't we, flush this money into not just the economy, but into our health system now and accept help from the world. Italy will be on top of this soon. They are a mess right now, but they will be on top of this because they have major countries coming in to help them and to get through this. And the U.S. is rejecting and isolating.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that Italy's peaked. So, and the thing to look for, and I think some people have brought this up in the comments, until we have ubiquitous testing, like literally everybody who wants a test can go get 2 tests a day. We're not going to know. I think I froze.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I talked to a doctor in China, in Hong Kong, and they were doing 4 batches a day. 4 batches a day. That means people would come in, they would give them a test, and 4 times a day they would send the test where they needed to. Within about 4 to 5 hours, they would get the test results back, and they could either send people home or keep them if they needed to. So people they had a system. They got a system going. And to be honest with you, I mean, we should already be there. We should be 10 steps ahead of there. We're not.
Yeah, no. If we just started when he got the first warning, we would be there. Right.
If he had not shut down all the overseas, canary points where we're supposed to be
You-
able to
like
put
no,
brakes on
those
these things
canary
before they get here.
points. Yeah, those canary points are so that we would get warning. We got
Yeah.
warning. We got all sorts of warning.
Yeah.
And he still did nothing.
Yep.
Because he was afraid it would affect his poll numbers, and now I really hope that it just really does.
Yeah.
Fire the man. I mean, every American, fire the man now.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
November.
We're
Just
working
fire
on
him.
it.
Please.
We're
No.
working
Could we just do the whole contested convention and have Elizabeth Warren run shit though? Because like Biden's all right.
Yeah,
but
she's just
honestly,
organized. She just got it down.
There's no fucking comparison between Biden and fucking Elizabeth Warren at all.
I know.
Just-
I agree.
If we could
I
pick,
agree.
like if we could just
Here's the thing.
hey, hashtag coffee gets to pick now. Sorry, voters in South Carolina, but you were wrong.
Back to where I was. Elizabeth Warren belongs in the Senate, where she can guide sane policy in a bill like the Senate passed.
Yeah.
All of the good things that happened in that bill, the changes that were made that were better for people. I mean, not all of them, but she was largely responsible for the effort to make sure that the Senate bill, pointed downhill at people instead of at companies.
Well, and with real oversight too, which is, I mean,
right.
going to be really, really important. Okay, Greg. Okay. Still, though,
I mean, look, I may have my contentions with the old white guys, but look, I will say that I do think, and I mean, at this point, we just see that Biden will probably be in that space. But at this point, one or both of them would definitely be a much better. At least they would heed early when crisis happens.
Right.
Because they're at least smart enough to do that. I may have my issues with both of them, but when a crisis comes, I certainly know that they would try and heed as early as possible to do something.
Yep.
So
yeah, I mean, there's no rational universe in which Hillary Clinton wouldn't have been on this like white on rice with her entire fully staffed State Department on fucking whoop ass before the end of January. She just would have. Like everybody knows that.
You heard the reporter ask Trump, why did you get rid of the Obama sort of emergency system or whatever? And he goes, that's just a nasty question. What? Like,
that's
what?
not all he said. Then he said, this is
said.
the administration. I didn't do it. Maybe it was Tony.
I know. I heard the
that?
rest of it.
No, it wasn't even Tony. He blamed fucking what's his pickle who left. God damn it, the ex-UN guy. I so love that I don't remember his name because he's an asshole. But yeah, he blamed him.
Oh, Bolton.
Yep.
Yeah. But then he pointed right at somebody who was out there with him and said, was that something you guys did? Like, I think he was talking to Tony Fauci.
Yeah. I'm like,
I didn't do it.
But
I bear
nothing's
no
ever his fault.
responsibility.
Nothing. Back to narcissism. Nothing is ever his fault.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
and you can tell it's a knee jerk, right? It's not like he has to think about, am I going to blame someone else for this? It's negative stimulus pointed at me, and I'm immediately going to lie and blame someone else. Like there's no decision tree, right? It's not like, hey, is this evil or is this irrational or any of that? It's automatic and instantaneous. His brain is broken. Like it is that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, fucking pep talks, man.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing today? Ash is going to bed, is my guess.
Well, actually, I'll probably be up late tonight. I'll probably be up for a little bit. I am restructuring my podcast system, Birth Podcast, and so I will have something for more people to be included soon.
Nice.
I'm kind of shifting to WIT, the portal that I want to use for it, so that more people have access to it. And so that'll be coming. Birth, I'm very excited. Birth Podcast is going to be fun. I interviewed a guy the other day that I'm hoping to roll out this week who was addicted to heroin, and now he's a practicing Buddhist. And so we go through his story. So I'm very excited about that. And then the other big thing is I just finished rolling out my ebook for my memoir, Reckoning in the Rubble.
Yay!
So I know the paperback will probably come in a few weeks. It's just time consuming. It's not difficult work, but it's going to be time consuming to put out that template. But the ebook is out and it's ready, and I'm selling it on Lulu.com. I am very disillusioned by Amazon, and so and Jeff Bezos, and so I have chosen Lulu.com, which they do put it out to places like Barnes & Noble and other websites, but their website, they give 80% back to the author. They work very specifically with independent authors. And what I have decided is if I can get 100 people, 100 of you to buy the book, Once I reach 100 people, I will give $100 of my profits to charity, to give back to charities that are, trying to create either sustainable living or that are running first aid, medical clinics and things like that. So each charity, it'll be for every 100 books I sell, I will give $100 to charity. And so we've just started, so everybody get on it. It's only $8.99, and it's a really good read. And a couple people that have already plowed through it this week have told me that they appreciate it and we're examining ideas, and so it's not just my story, it's the human story, and I think there's kind of no better time right now to kind of contemplate these issues. So Beautiful. Go buy it. I'll send the boys the link so it can be put up in the description.
Well, I got the link
whatever.
to your page, to the book page on ashgallagher.com.
Yeah, you can also just go directly through that as well. Yeah.
Oh, buy it on Lulu. There it is. Okay, you know what? I'm going to throw that link in here as soon as the page builds. There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Katie Porter's test came back negative.
Good. She can keep fighting with her whiteboard. Hallelujah.
Right. Apparently she's still staying home because she has symptoms and needs to recover. This means I will not be able to travel to Washington, D.C. to vote.
Wow.
Which is lame.
They should have had a system in place for this kind of moment.
Yep.
How did we not do that as part of the Patriot Act? Any of
the
4 times or 5 we ratified it.
Yeah, I don't know.
So there you go. Direct link right there in the comments to buy Ash Gallagher's book. $8. Come on. Yeah, you need stuff to read. You're sitting at home. You're eating Reese's Cup dark chocolate peanut butter cups. Well, that's what I'm doing. Never mind. That was a little projection on my part. But yeah, buy Ash's book and read it and enjoy it and benefit from it. And we're really proud and excited that she's graced us with her presence through this whole process. It's been amazing to watch. And I applaud anybody with the kind of gut-wrenching hard work ethic it takes to write something like you've written. So
thank you.
I
appreciate you guys. You guys have been incredibly supportive. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears in the past year and a half, or a little over that. So I definitely would love to have folks read it. Tell me what they think.
Well, there's an ominous observation. DeSantis' CV-19 response will kill off enough senior citizens to flip Florida from red to blue.
Casey. It's a little dark comedy, but I get it.
Yeah.
I hope it's dark comedy.
When you make me wince.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I can confirm. Greg's got the gallows humor down to a fine art.
Oh, my.
Whew.
Yeah.
Well,
what are you boys going to do today? What's on the plan for your insular existence?
I'll let Corey go first.
I don't fucking know.
Get to know the in-laws?
I do. I got work to do for tomorrow's Stay the Heck Home Festival. I have some promotional stuff to do and some shares, and I got to record a couple of interviews with the charities that we're featuring and make sure that everybody knows how Zoom works that's going to participate. And I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Like I'm doing that. I'm doing the whole 7 hours. So I got to figure out how to get things shared, how to have people join the conference. It's going to be a little tricky.
You should train up somebody to help with that.
Yeah. It's a shame you don't have a laptop because I think that would make
I would definitely have done a couple hours for sure.
Yep.
Not the punk band couple hours. Love you guys.
It's only one punk band.
That said, I would have.
Hey, not everybody likes acoustic.
No,
bearded
some people are wrong.
Singer-songwriter guys.
Just kidding. It's funny, and most people don't even still believe this, but Michelle is still a total punkhead.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, how she ended up with me is still a giant mystery.
Yeah. All right, so we ready to rock and roll out of here? Yeah, so that's my day. I'm doing some stuff for the festival. Probably invest a couple hours in self-edifying television because I like to watch good stuff on TV. So,
cool.
What do you're going to bed. What are you doing tomorrow, Ash? What's your tomorrow look like?
Well, probably just more writing, more working on the podcast, more just more of the same a little bit. I mean, I'm kind of bunkered in at least probably until we'll see how I feel tomorrow. If I get really antsy, I might go out in the evening, but I'm thinking I'll probably wait till Monday. What is tomorrow? No, tomorrow's Saturday. Oh my
It is.
yeah, I'll probably just cook. One of the things I've been doing, I think, during the day that kind of breaks it up for me is I cook a little bit. I food prep. So, and I get on Pinterest or whatever, and I find interesting recipes with whatever I have and try and piece them together. And, you know, I'm a vegan anyway. And so food is an important part of my sort of self-care and daily care. And so it's good for me to kind of learn how to do a few new things
Right.
with, fewer ingredients. And so that's actually been a little bit meditative for me. So, for those of you guys who are in, I mean, it's always good to just, whether you eat meat or not, it doesn't really matter. I think food is, we have to kind of think about our body and staying healthy. And so when you can find ways to kind of get creative with it and appreciate what you're eating, appreciate what you're ingesting,
Right.
it makes a huge difference. So that's actually been breaking up my day a little bit. And then I do yoga and meditation and stuff as well. So, that'll be part of the day.
That is awesome. And I would like to emulate small parts of that for my own zone here. Andrew Yang just tweeted this out. I just wanted to share this with you guys. It's important to maintain self-discipline each day in quarantine, or not, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah.
We could have had Yang. So,
I got to tell you, I was I had to do some driving yesterday, and midday traffic was pretty normal. But I went to Hands of the Goddess yesterday. We participated in a food co-op there where we pay $35 a month and we get a box of food every week. And I went to pick up our food yesterday, and downtown Newport Richey was a ghost town. Not just businesses, like there was almost no one in Sims Park or on Orange Lake, which lately in the last 5 years has been a real renaissance downtown. Lots of people walking around. It's a very walkable downtown area. But yesterday was the first time I looked around and went, oh yeah, like people seemed to be taking it much more seriously than they had been. So I thought that was an encouraging sign that maybe people are beginning to stay the fuck at home like they should. So we'll see what the weekend looks like, right? I think people are gonna get too stir crazy and tell themselves that it's okay for them to go outside, or go to some gathering. I don't think people are gonna take it that seriously.
Yeah, avoid gatherings, people, but if you can go outside, like if you are near an ocean or you can, slip out for a run, or if you have kids and you have a backyard, I mean, definitely get fresh air wherever you can get it. Just be mindful and not crazy to gather places.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Good day to be in the woods. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. We're ready to wrap this up. So
Sure.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you very much, Ash, for joining us. You're welcome anytime. She
And
sends
congrats
us
on
up a
finishing the
flare when
book.
she's ready to be on, and we do that because it's awesome. It's always good. Makes our show better. All right. So have a great, safe day, everybody. And Corey, how do you feel about the fact that Sasquatch is real?